What is your name and where are you from?
My name's Gordon. I'm from Scotland.
And how did you originally hear about my website?
It was definitely through YouTube. I think I was watching some videos on YouTube, and that sent me to the website.
Okay, that's most people. What do you like most about learning from my method?
Um, I like your I like your style of teaching. I love your enthusiasm. And like I'm sure everybody says the way it's taught with the whiteboard or smart boards as
Uh-huh.
opposed to the sort of traditional sight reading. It's definitely, yeah,
Good.
love it.
Okay. Excellent. There's another question I'll throw in here. Do you notice that when I do arrangements for lessons, it's always been a thing with me to do exactly what's on the album as close as I can. So my goal is always to give you exactly what Elton's playing, exactly what Ben Folds is playing during any particular live performance, so that you're playing the actual thing they did. But not only that, if you're vamping on a chord, you're vamping it the way they do it, and you're having what's going through their mind is going through your mind when you're vamping a chord and you're not reading dots on a page. So that's always been my goal, is to make you feel, like you wrote the song and that you're playing exactly what they do. And my arrangements are always that. They're never, the elevator music, right hand, melody in the right hand, which is okay. But I've always wanted to be authentic. And that kind of what's kind of separates me sometimes, I think, from the other teachers. Do you ever notice that that's the way I do the lessons? Do you care?
Yeah, I have noticed that it's very similar to the sound on the record. Yeah. Do I care? Yeah, I think so, because it definitely has the feel, even if it's not. Sometimes you'll be doing a live version,
Uh-huh.
um, and yeah, I like that that it sounds the same as on the record, because I think if I sat down and tried to do it myself, I can never figure it out. So the fact that you easily figure it out and then can teach it to me, I do like it. I also like it when it's not a piano song. If you're doing like a song that is not traditionally a piano song, and translating it onto the piano, I think it's yeah, very well done.
Thank you. You hit on something there. So, like, if it's a guitar song, people think, "Oh, that you can't do it on piano." Yes, you can if you do it the right way. So
Yeah,
that's kind of when I hear an arrangement. This is one of the, I think, talents that God has given me, is when I hear a band, I'm already in my mind. What I call pianoize it. I kind of reduce it to where it would work just on piano, where you're getting the drum
yeah,
beat, you're getting the bass line, some of the bass line, maybe even some of the vocal backup vocals sometimes. Definitely a piano part if there's piano in there. If there's not, whatever the guitar's doing, that can be done as well. And the
yeah,
piano is a great instrument like that. It can be used to capture a band sound like no other single instrument can do.
yeah,
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. But I think that's the one thing that kind of has given me staying power, because on YouTube, you can find a free lesson for anything.
yeah, yeah,
Millions of lessons. The
yeah,
way it is now. So why am I still doing so well? Why are people still coming to me? And that's the reason, I think, is because the authenticity of the arrangements. If I just kind of watered it down and gave my version, I would just be, one of the other crowd, and I wouldn't be able to keep doing this
yeah,
for a
yeah,
living.
yeah.
Yeah. So next question: what makes my method different from other online piano lessons?
What makes it different?
Like
You
if you
know,
were to watch another tutorial, what's a difference there in mind than theirs?
I can't really say, because I do not watch any other on lessons.
I've had someone else say that. Yeah. So let me give you a little help there, because someone else was in the same boat. They started like you did, maybe years ago. So there wasn't a
Yeah,
lot of online stuff, and they started with my stuff, and it worked for them. So they never watch anything else, which is great for me.
yeah,
um, yeah, but I hear you there. So yeah, I'm glad that it's worked that way, and I'm
yeah,
glad. So let's say this. So some a question that's particular for you. So you're someone who has gotten to the point where you could learn somewhere else, but you don't want to. This works for you, so you don't want to go anywhere else. You just want to stay here. So then people
yeah,
say, well, then they're just limited to my library. But how do you feel my library is limiting, or do you feel like it's a lot? What do you feel when you look at
yeah.
everything that's on there?
I get, I yeah, I love the library. Like even back. 12, 13 years ago when I got involved, I was astonished by how many songs you have on the library. And it must be, yeah, I haven't been on for recently, but yeah, the library is huge. And it's sort of, yeah, now and again I consider whether I should like try and get you to like request a specific song, but I've not run out of songs to learn, so I haven't felt the need to request a specific one yet.
Good. So there's so many on there now, and I have to give credit not to myself, but to all of you members because you guys built the library, not me. Everything on there is a request. 18 years now, been doing this,
Yeah,
and all the requests, everything that's on there are requests from members, and you get that variety of everything. And if it's just me, it's going to be skewed. You know, if it's any one
yeah,
person, but it's all you guys who've built the library. It's all stuff that people said there's not a lesson for this on the internet that I need. So I'm going to hire Shawn to do it. So all my library is filled with unique things that nobody else has done or will touch
yeah,
for whatever reason. So, you know, there's a uniqueness of the library that you guys built. And I'm so proud of that and happy for that because I'm getting educated by all the requests I get because I didn't, you know, I'm classically trained. I went for almost 30 years without really listening to any, you know, popular music, rock music or anything. And now that's all I'm doing
yeah,
for a long time. So the library is what's on there is because of you guys and the vastness of it. And because that's all I do, I just keep putting up more lessons, more requests, and I keep adding to it.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, when someone gets on the site and they go, you know, if I say list the top 10 songs you'd like to learn, probably 7 or 8 of them are on there. Sometimes all of
Yeah,
them are on. So
yeah,
it's gotten to the point where pretty much any artist, pretty much anything you want to learn is going to be on there. Not only that, but maybe the obscure things that people want to play that they can't find anywhere else. A lot of times that's on there too. So the library's a great thing. So I'm glad to hear. I mean, if you were to start right now, there's no way you could learn even all the songs you
yeah,
wanted in your life, probably because it's not your
yeah,
living. You have a life
yeah,
to live.
yeah.
So good.
How long does it take you to do it? To this, I don't know, something like, I know it must be
Okay.
different for
Well, this is
different
what I do.
capacities, but
This is what I do because I love to tell people how I do it. First, I have this gift that God gave me called perfect pitch. It's not perfect. I hate that name for it because it's not perfect, but it's a gift that I can was born with. When I hear something, I know what the notes are automatically. I don't got to
yeah,
sit down and figure it out. I know
yeah,
if it's in tune. If it's not, I can't do it, and I have to turn people down sometimes. Because I say, well, this is flat. I don't know how much, but I can't tell what the notes are because I can't. It's not
all right,
registering with me, and it
interesting.
sounds like a train wreck and you know, broken trombones to me. So um, yeah, but I'll just hear it and I can write it down. So I'm just sitting down. I can sometimes I'll sit at the piano, sometimes I'll sit at the kitchen table, and I'll just
Yeah,
listen and write everything down. That process is tedious because of the writing.
yeah,
But as far as hearing it, I mean, I'm just going. I'm not having to figure
okay,
anything out. That's why I can go
yeah,
so fast. Is because so the
okay,
only thing
interesting.
slowing me down is the physical, you know, writing.
Yeah,
Then I have to learn it. Just because I wrote it down and I know what the notes are doesn't mean I can play it. So that freaks people out sometimes. I have to sit there and learn it like you guys do. Then I'm able to do the lessons. So it depends on the song. If it's a really tough, let's pick, you know, 15-minute Elton John, you know, live solo. He's just tearing it up. That's going to
yeah,
probably take me 4 days of full
okay,
workday for 4 days
yeah,
to go from to recording the video, processing all the technical stuff. If it's just an easy thing that's, you know, 3 minutes long and it's just a, you know, plunk plunk, some simple chord progression, then that's going to be a day, you know. So it
okay,
depends on the song. But
yeah,
I put everything I have into every one. I
yeah,
can't do it any other way. I
yeah.
don't cut
Can I ask
corners.
about when you're listening to it and writing it down, like how do you hear it? Like if it's a chord, like do you think that's like a diminished D chord, or do you
No,
think of the
no.
notes? Is it like note by note?
No, I don't. To name the chord, I have to go through my theory knowledge and tell you. But for me, it's my own little personal feeling and thought. I'll try to explain it to you best I can. Let's say you're sitting in a room and your back is to an audience of 88 people, okay?
Yeah,
And that you know these people. And one person speaks and you go, "Oh, that's Uncle Fred."
yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
listen to the pitch of it. You just knew it was Uncle Fred. That's what it's like to me when I hear a note, you
Okay,
know. F, I just know what
Yeah.
it is without looking. And
Okay.
even when the notes are, a combination, so every combination of chord, even the inversion, like there's, a zillion ways to play a C chord.
Yeah.
Um, there's a feeling and a kind of a texture and just a familiarity I have with every way a chord can be played. When I
Okay.
hear it, I immediately just know it. There's no
Yeah.
figuring out. I just
Okay.
know that's Uncle Fred. I know that's
Yeah.
Mom speaking. I know that's what it's
Yeah.
like. It's just an immediate thing, and I can't take any credit for it because it was just given to me.
Yeah.
And now if someone just goes like that, that doesn't really register. I can get kind of close, but so
Yeah.
it's not that specific. But if it's a
Yeah.
chord, and it's coherent, because some people try to test me and they go, "What is this?" Like, come on, So it's not
Yeah.
that. Maybe there are people in the world that can do that too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But every chord, every texture, every different combination of music has a feeling and a thing to me that's just familiar. And sometimes it
Yeah.
involves a color, a feeling. I keep saying feeling because emotions are involved in it. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
why. When I hear, I'm not hearing pitches. I know that I am hearing pitches, but that's not how I feel it. And I get there. It's a
Yeah.
personality. So the pitches seem to have nothing to do with it for me.
Yeah. Interesting.
And if you take a fully diminished seventh chord, like if you take, okay, and then you say, well, you can play that fully diminished seventh chord in another key, it's going to feel totally different. It's not like I take everything and then move it up for a transposition and then, okay, that feels
Yeah.
like this. No, it's completely different characters, completely different movie, completely different um, atmosphere in my mind.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just another world that I can try to explain to you, but it's, you know,
Yeah. No. So, do you perform? Do you
I'm
do you
starting to
play?
do that. If I'm telling you to do it, I need to do it. My son is an amazing guitar player, and for his sake, he wants to gig. He loves playing, and we're going to start gigging here in Waco, and we're
Cool.
practicing some songs. Yes, and I have done that in the past, never like regularly, but I've done a lot of it. But we're
Yeah.
going to start doing that, so I'm going to start posting videos of us doing that here in Waco.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can I
All
ask
right,
you
I don't
just
want.
like ask you
Huh?
one last question that's non-music?
Okay.
How do you feel about YouTube? That's how it's changed over the last almost 20 years that you've been on it.
It's frustrating for someone like me because I see overall what it's doing to people's minds. We're becoming, now YouTube does the shorts. People's attention
Yeah. Yeah.
spans are going less. People can't sit there for more than, a minute or now sometimes 30
Yeah.
seconds. They can't sit there.
Yeah.
And it's becoming entertainment where we're just,
Yeah.
just
Because I
drooling and
think
what. That's what I
a lot
see is
of
happening.
yeah,
YouTube used to be.
a lot of YouTubers that have been on for almost 20 years, like yourself, like they, I feel like are wrestling with whether they should be changing to do these short form videos. But obviously, your stuff does not lend itself to short form
Well,
videos.
there are still people like you, Gordon, who can sit still and watch a video. But I am doing shorts. I'm trying to still
Okay.
do the advertising like I should. But I've just
Yeah.
seen it change to so much to commercial. And when you
Yeah.
when you go so hard on the commercial, because Google is like, how can we make money? How can and they'll do anything that's legal to make more money. And so they're using all the YouTube content creators, using all the viewers to make themselves money. That's their goal, to amass as much wealth as they possibly can. And when you do that, people suffer. The individual suffer. So we've
Yeah.
become these, autonomous. And so it, even though it hasn't seemed to really hurt my business, I know eventually it would. But I see people watching this junk instead of real videos that they could really learn something. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that that saddens me to see that, because YouTube was great in the beginning, remember? So the
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah.
was popular was stuff that people actually wanted to watch and was good. Now it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's good. It matters if it catches someone's attention and they'll click on it. That's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
So I don't like it. To answer your
Yeah.
question. Yeah. I want to get
Uh,
to these here, before we run out of time. On a scale of
okay.
1 to 10, how satisfied are you with my lessons?
10.
Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna put mine 9 point something because I always feel like I can get better. I need to always try to get better. But thank you for that. Would you recommend a family member or friend to my lessons, and if so, why?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I recommended um, a friend who has used your lessons, and my dad as well has used them. Yeah, I think it's just like people who are put off by feeling like they need to read like sight read sheet
Yeah.
music to be able to play things on piano. Like it's just so completely different way to learn, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And we still have a little bit of time. And so for that time, any more, I love the questions for me. I always ask people that at the end and they go, oh, I don't know. But you seem to have anything else you want to know? Anything I can do for you, Gordon, today?
Um, I can keep on it. I can ask you another question or two. Let me see. Are you in your house? Are you in your home? Are you in like the basement of your home, or do you go out to a studio to do your
You
recording?
have great questions. I need to have you here interviewing me for these interviews. No, I'm serious. You ask great questions. If I were to turn the camera around, it would look like your house probably, just a complete mess with toys everywhere and weights on
Nice.
the ground and a keyboard and instrument here
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there thrown away. I'm in the enclosed garage. We can enclose the garage. Well, we didn't do it, but it was like that. Enclosed
yeah.
garage. It's a big room, and I'm in the corner here, and we made a set. And I love this set because it just
Nice.
has a '70s rock and roll feel, which is to
Yeah,
me just a sweet spot of music.
I like your albums on the wall. I've got albums on the wall behind me as well.
Thank you. Oh, that's great. Yes. My goal, Gordon, was to switch these out every week, but it's so hard to get them straight when I put them back
Oh
on.
yeah,
But I have
yeah.
a ton of albums, and my son, you can't see it, but I let him put an album up on the other side. There's a Van Halen record. He's a guitar player.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just love music. So yeah, I'm just in a spare room here of the house, and that's what we do. We just come in
And,
here and yeah. In fact, you saw me
and
walking in, I just came from the kitchen, had got
oh,
a
nice.
soda.
Yeah. I'll ask you one more question. Then. Have you ever been to Scotland?
No, but me and my wife and I would like to go. We've actually wanted to go several times. Our church has had a mission trip several times
Okay,
to go to Scotland. We haven't been able to go, but I would love to go for the music because I don't know why so many Scottish people are on the lessons, but they are. I mean, because it's just this little small place.
cool. Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, most of my right, Evan. Have there been a lot from Scotland? There have been, yes. I'd love to visit for that reason. Maybe do a little conference there. I think I'd
Yeah,
have a
nice.
lot of people come, and we'd love to do some, some mission stuff with our church too. But I would love to go sometime. So if you're a praying guy, pray that we get to go sometime because we would love to go.
Yeah, great. Cool. Well, I'll let you go. Very nice chatting to you. It's been, I feel like it's sort of surreal getting an email from Shawn and then having a
Thank you,
Zoom call
Gordon.
with him the next day.
Gordon, I'm
So,
gonna say,
yeah,
have you already done a Google review for me yet? Have you done that?
I have. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for that. That's supposed to help us as well. So thank you for all you've done. And if you ever need anything, let me know. It's easy for me to do a Zoom call. If you get stuck on a song and need extra help, happy to help you
Oh,
out.
cool. Yeah,
Have a
cheers,
great
Sean.
day, Gordon. Talk to you later.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye.
I totally forget. Yeah. So,
Oh,
right.
no
So,
worries.
yeah, thank you for doing it. And where are you from?
I'm from Scotland.
Ah, okay. All right, great. I have several. I don't know what it is about Scotland, but I have lots of members in the UK, especially Scotland.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so
Oh,
how
great.
long have you been with my lessons? How long we've been doing this?
It is. I'm thinking. I was trying to remember because I, I went through your. I don't know what it's called, like blues piano lessons.
Oh
When I
yeah,
was living in
the piano
Edinburgh.
blues thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I absolutely loved it. Like I was getting up in the morning, and before work, like at 6 a.m., I had my electric piano with my headphones set on, and I was doing like an hour or two of your piano
Oh
blues
wow. So how did you
before
like
work.
that course? I think that's like an 18 lesson course of just an introduction to
Yeah,
blues. Did that work pretty
yeah,
good
I
for
loved
you?
it. Yeah, I thought it was
Good.
brilliant. Like that's the sort of piano that my dad plays, that sort of bluesy stuff, with the donka 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 donka, and yeah, and it was great to yeah. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was sort of like it felt very natural to sort of progress through it. Like you're just
Yeah.
trying to. I thought the way that you taught it was sort of like just trying to do one or two notes with the right hand, and then it builds up to phrases and stuff. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. So yeah, that
So
was
did you
probably
get
12. That was probably maybe 14 years ago, 12 years ago, something
okay?
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
One thing
back when
I'm
you're.
noticing is that people are, those older videos are not as good quality as today because the technology was not as good.
Yeah,
But people are still using those old videos and they're doing just fine. And
yeah,
at one time I was thinking of replacing them all, doing them over, you know, and then when I do that, people are like, no, but the old one, I like the old ones
Yeah, yeah,
better.
no, I agree.
So,
I agree.
and
Like
it
when you
works out
start,
good.
yeah, when you started having like the more is it sort of smart board stuff that you've got going on now, like I definitely had that thought. I thought, I hope he doesn't take down all the whiteboard stuff because it's brilliant.
Yeah, because people love that, and so they love that it's kind of vintage, and
Yeah.
I don't know, they just it's just the way they wanted it, and I kind of had some validation on that because I did a lesson for someone that I'd already done like 15 years before, and I didn't realize it because I
Oh, okay.
mistitled it, and I was like so bummed. I was like, I spent all that work on this, and then I went and looked at the old one, and it was almost note for note what I did, and it was 15 years apart. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so maybe I was doing something right. um, so did you ever
Yeah,
get to the
thanks.
point where you could just play your own on the blues, where you were doing coming up with your own?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I still do it. Like I think when I sit at the piano, I don't play much piano. I play a lot more guitar than I do piano. And when I sit down at the piano, like the three things I play are
Uh-huh.
I'll play the Mona Lisas and Mad Hatters that I learned from you,
Yeah.
and I play I can't remember what else. But then I play the blues. Like it's sort of the left hand, the bass that goes dum
Yes.
da da
Yes.
da da that one.
Hey, Gordon,
And
I want to make it
and
easier
yeah,
on you here. Is there a way you could position your phone where you don't have to hold it, just to make it easier for you?
yeah.
If it's not, if it's
Let me
too
just
hard, don't
move.
worry about it. But that would make it easier for
I'll just move through
the
here. Is
editors on this. It'd probably make it easier for you if you had it somewhere. Yeah,
that better?
that's better. Yeah, now you don't have to hold it, and then it'll when they're editing it, it'll be easier for the guys to do it.
Yeah, no
Excellent.
worries.
Okay, so I kind of already forgot how long have you been with me? How many years?
Um, Probably I think maybe 13
Okay.
years, something like that,
Wow.
on and off.
Wow. Yeah, the you know, wouldn't believe it, but coming up I'll have an interview with the guy who's been with me the longest, I think. He was on with me from day 1 when I went on YouTube, like in
Oh
2007.
yeah,
Yeah, it's incredible.
2007. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and
That's brilliant. Yeah.
he's from London, I think. So, yeah, another UK.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so it's really
All
cool
right.
to
Where,
finally get to
where do
meet
you
you
where do
guys.
you live? Where do you live, Shawn? Because you were saying you were 6 hours behind. I was trying to figure out what that
Oh,
meant in
where
terms of
I
where you were.
am? I'm
Yeah.
in Central Texas in Waco. So,
Ah, okay.
yeah, so Waco
Cool.
is famous for many things. Some good, some not so good. Yeah, Central Texas. So
Yeah,
Waco's great. We
awesome.
have
Uh,
I don't know
Were
if you
you
heard the
were you up here?
Magnolia Empire thing is kind of really taken off. So we're like a tourist spot now for many people.
All right, cool, excellent. And
Yeah.
were you a piano teacher before you got into
I've
YouTube?
always
For how
been a
long were you
piano
doing?
teacher.
Yeah,
I've been teaching piano
yeah.
lessons since I was 14 or 15. So I've
Oh,
always
cool.
been that. Yeah, I've never done anything else. I did work at a grocery store for a couple of months, and then that made me see the light that there, you know, maybe music is better than having to pack groceries. So, let me get your. I would like to get your story. So growing up, you know, in music, have you already lived in
Yeah,
Scotland? Okay, so growing up,
I
did you take traditional piano lessons? Did you play guitar? Did you learn yourself by ear? What was your upbringing in music?
yeah, sure. So my dad plays guitar very well, and he plays piano as well. So I learned from him. Certainly, I learned the guitar from him, and we always had a piano in the house. I had piano lessons when I was a kid. Like, didn't I suppose didn't particularly enjoy it. I always thought it was. I did think it was taught. Like in retrospect, I think it was taught poorly.
Okay, how
I,
so?
I got frustrated with like for scales being told the exact, like you have to push like these keys, and like for this scale it's these keys, for this scale instead of just being told, like tone tone semitone tone tone semitone kind of theory. I think
Uh,
if I had learned a little bit more theory when I was younger and
yeah.
had teachers that were teaching me that, I think I would have progressed more quickly and probably enjoyed it more.
Okay. So I
Yeah,
can hear the strictness in the traditional piano lessons, the way they're kind of done still to this day, unfortunately.
yeah.
So you had, you know, the heavy music reading, sight reading, probably the classical route is where you were reading
Yeah.
first.
I never really learned like sight reading. I sort of I feel like I couldn't be bothered. I preferred to just sort of learn one thing that I would play, or play by ear, or just sort of, yeah, learn almost like muscle
Sure.
memory, learn one thing. I feel
But
like if I,
your lessons were trying to teach you that, though, right? You were
they were trying to teach me that. Yeah,
lessons, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't working for you, though.
No, and then it was sort of years later. So that's probably when I'm like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. I had piano lessons, and
So,
then
Gordon, why do
it
you
was.
think that is? Why do you think the traditional way of reading music wasn't working for you? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I think it's probably. I think when I started learning, like later on, I was just learning things that I wanted to play. It was a lot more fun. Whereas I felt like the like traditional way of doing it with like sight
Yeah.
reading, the things I was playing were so basic, it was quite boring. So even though I'm sure I was probably progressing in some way, I wasn't much enjoying it. Yeah,
Well, I want to put your mind at ease a little bit, I think, because a lot of people in your position, they feel like, well, I failed at reading music. I tried, I was in it, and I hate it, or whatever. I'm not good at it. I'm just, other people can do it. Why can't I do it? I feel like and they're not, maybe you don't feel, any failure as a musician, but maybe at that aspect of reading music, and you think, man, I wish I could have done that, even though that's not how I play. Um,
yeah,
and what I found as a teacher from doing this my entire life, being next, side by side on the bench with 50 students a week for 2 decades,
yeah,
is that usually the people who are the poorest sight readers are the most musically talented. And it's because your ear is so strong that you're drawn to using that ear. So you memorize and you watch and you hear and you have it. You don't need to read music. In fact,
mm,
reading music slows you down in the beginning. So everyone's going to
yeah,
use what their strength is. If you're right-handed, you're going to use your right arm. If you're left-handed, you're going to use whatever
yeah,
your strength is, you're going to concentrate on that thing. And what happens is as you progress as a player and your ear gets better and better and your teacher thinks you're reading the music, but you're not, you're just memorizing, then your playing ability starts to separate from your reading ability. And the farther apart those two things get, the more frustrated you get. And the harder it is to play. And it just, it compounds itself that way. And eventually, there's a quitting in the
yeah.
traditional lessons.
That
But
probably fix that problem.
so, and people that have, sometimes less musical talent, the only way they can do it is by reading the notes. I've
Yeah,
met some reading machines who, after they can sight read anything, I ask them, okay, what chord are you playing here? And they have no idea.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
no idea. And they have no idea the structure of the music or anything, but they can play or they can
yeah,
sight read because that's their strength. Okay.
yeah. Have you
So
got a
I think
sight?
that's what happens.
Is there a sight reading thing on your within your lessons? Do you teach
There
sight reading?
is. Yes, because
Yeah,
I never wanted to exclude that part of it because
yeah,
reading music, I'm not down on that at all. I
yeah,
think it's a great skill to learn. I think every kid should be given a shot to do that.
yeah,
So I have, the 100 boot camp series lessons, and they're
yeah,
not lessons on particular songs. They're lesson on how to sight read so that you learn
yeah,
the skill, then you can take that wherever you go to anything else
yeah.
and play it. So I have that on the site. It's not my specialty, but I do have those
Yeah.
on there. So I just wanted
It's
to
a
put your
bit.
mind at ease that, it wasn't necessarily
Yeah, no,
probably
that's good.
you. It was
Yeah,
just your ear was so good and strong. That's the strength you used. And the teachers don't know how to deal with that, right? They let you go to the next song if you can play the one you're on, even though you're not reading the music.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah. So another thing you mentioned is it wasn't the songs you wanted to play. So I know what songs you were playing in those books because they all have the same thing. Row, row, row your boat. Little Red
yeah, yeah,
Bird, the dog in the backyard or something, those little songs.
yeah.
What music were you listening to that you wanted to play at the time when you were growing up?
I don't know. It probably depends what age I was, but like I listened when I was young. When I was having those piano lessons, I was probably listening to my dad's music. So it's like the Beatles and the Eagles and yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah. And just,
Wonderful. If the whole traditional piano lesson world could be overhauled and they could, use sheet music but teach those songs, maybe there'd be
yeah,
a different result for most
yeah,
people.
yeah, absolutely. Because that's what I think. Like even if I like when I'm using your videos and like choosing a song to to play, I sort of I suppose I just try and find one that I think I will enjoy playing that song. I kind of ignore the difficulty,
Yeah.
like like levels on it because I
Okay.
like I back myself to just through it's just sort of like however long it takes, as long as it's not way up there in terms of super
Right.
complex, then
So,
like I'll just spend hours and hours and hours focusing on one phrase until I get it right,
yeah.
without without having
So
to read it. So,
you're more of, if I love this song, I'm going to learn it. The difficulty is not
exactly.
right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
wonderful. I think that's totally true. So you're more of a, and my members tend to be the same, more of a memorizer, more of a, um, you learn the song you get it by memory, then you have it. And so
Yeah,
you don't necessarily need the sheets when you're done. You can just play it from memory. But
yeah.
what was it about my tablature? Like when you first saw my lessons, when you saw these, letters on the whiteboard, did that immediately click for you? Was it confusing? What was your experience when you first started getting into my method?
I think it was. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I do think it. I remember it being finding it simple. Like I think it's quite simple to follow. Um, yeah,
So it clicked for you immediately, you think?
yeah. I think it clicked for me. Yeah,
Good. So you already knew the names of the notes on the keys. I mean, you kind of have that
yeah,
has to be a starting place. And then, yeah. So instead of assigning a black dot to each key on the piano, there's just the
yeah,
letter name, and you know the letter
yeah,
name. Yeah. So it does. It clicks for a lot of people immediately
yeah.
like that. Great. So you're going along, and and as so you start my lessons. What's the first few songs you're working on?
Um, I yeah, the ones that I remember was there was a Ben Folds one. What's it called? Landed. I learned early
Yes,
on.
that's a
Yeah,
big one. Yeah, love
and yeah,
influence.
certainly Elton, like Mona Lisa's Mad Hatters, and I'm trying to play it to remember what the other one is. Yeah, another one of the Elton ones as well. And then yeah, as I said, love the blues.
That gives me an idea. So
That's
you're kind of jumping in the intermediate level, at least the intermediate, early, advanced, I think. So you're already able to play that to those songs at that point.
yeah,
Interesting you mentioned Ben Folds and Elton, because to me, there's no Ben Folds without Elton John first. Because I'm hearing him play, and I'm okay. Now
yeah,
Ben Folds has his own style and feel, but definitely I think he listened heavily to Elton John because I hear stuff from
yeah,
Elton all the time in his
yeah, yeah.
and when I
What
hear
that thing?
Elton, I hear
What do
stuff
you say
from
about? Yeah,
the Motown and blues
like
and
the
country and everything.
so
So
like the I'm trying to remember what you refer to. Like the is it the country third? Is that what it is? Like you?
yes, right,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that song that Ben Folds does, "Brick," it's
Oh
one of my
yeah,
favorites.
yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of identified with it at the time, but I was listening to it. But yeah, he's got a little piano lick at the end of a verse or a chorus or something, and he has a country third in there. And I was like, that's just
Yeah,
perfect,
yeah.
awesome.
And I started the one that I started, but I've never managed to get through. Uh, is oh god, my brain is gone. I've got a 4-week-old baby, so my brain doesn't work too well at the
Oh,
moment.
I'm right. Oh, I hear you. Yes, you're in a fog right now,
Uh,
Gordon. It'll get better.
uh, oh god, what's it called? Um,
Who's it by?
it's they put bread in my jar and say, "Man, what the hell are you doing here?" What's
Oh yeah, yeah, Billy Joe Piano Man.
That's the one, Piano Man. Yeah, I've got a friend,
Good.
one of my best friends. Her brother plays it, and I absolutely love it. I'd love to learn. I
Oh,
definitely want to learn it sometime.
Gordon, do you ever play in a piano bar or a kind of a gig thing? Do you ever do that ever? Never?
No, not on piano. Like, yeah,
Okay.
guitar,
Do you sing?
but I do sing. Yeah, yeah,
Oh man, you ought to try that sometime. Just a couple of easy songs. Find a little venue where they let people come in open mic or something and just
yeah,
play and sing a couple of songs. I think you would love it. And
yeah. I
it's
have
just
done it sort
wonderful.
of. The time I remember doing it, the only time I joke I was paid to play the piano was when
Uh-huh.
I was sat in a Pizza Express. Do you have that in
Uh-huh.
the States?
Pizza
Pizza
Express.
Express.
Do we have that, Evan? Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. We have
Well, anyway, like a
Domino's.
pizza restaurant, and it had a piano there, and I was just picking up an order, and I sat down and played, and asked if I could play the piano, and I sat and played through, these like 3 or 4 things I learned.
Yeah.
done yet, and they gave me some free dough balls for playing the piano, so that was my only paid gig.
Oh wow, you could do it some more. It'd be a way to get out of the house just a little bit to
Yeah, it's good.
recharge, and you get tips. I mean, you can, on the side, it's a little perk there for that. But I think you would love that. And I always have this thing I try to have my students learn. It's called learn, play, share. You're probably doing the learn, play very well already. The learn is getting a new song and working on that. The playing is just playing all the old songs. Don't
Yeah,
forget to play all the old songs every day during your practice, and you probably do those things already because you're still doing it after all these years.
yeah,
But that third step is the one that I try to get people to do, and it's called share, and that's just playing for
yeah,
someone else, whether it's in a gathering or a little, thing at a piano bar or whatever. But if you've never done it, well, you did do it, so you know what that feels like.
yeah,
It's an
yeah, yeah.
amazing thing, and I would, if I could give you one recommendation, I know life is tough and you got a little baby, but if ever there's opportunity to do that, just play for a little group and sing, it's just amazing. And you can get tips on the side. Sometimes there's a family that I know that does it. It's just two people. I got a kid and his uncle. Well, he's not a kid anymore. He's in college, but they'll make $300 a night. Sometimes they'll make 1,000. I don't know how much that equates to your, you know,
Yeah.
money.
No,
But
no.
anyway, it's kind of a neat thing to do, and it really makes music a part of your life like it never was. And it's just such a, I mean, you feel exhilarated,
Yeah,
and then you do everything else better. You're a better father, you're a better dad, you're a better husband, and life is just great. So that would be the one recommendation I would give you.
no,
Wow.
nice.
So what I'm going to get to these questions now. And you may feel like you're kind of repeating yourself, but if you wouldn't mind just answering them again, because my videographers are gonna use this part for the website.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
okay, so here we go.